Buenos dias, y'all. RGT85 here with a special weekend news video, but there are two stories going on that I definitely want to talk about. I know you probably see the Breath of the Wild stuff in the title. I know other people have talked about the Breath of the Wild information, but I actually have something completely unique that nobody else has talked about when it comes to the Breath of the Wild release date that I think could be potentially something that's real, something that's tangible with this, and I think I can prove it. But if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, and share the video. Without any further ado, let's just jump into it and Google Stadia. Google Stadia. Now, when Google Stadia was first unveiled, there were some people that were very high on this service. They thought it was going to be something that was going to be really good, something that could potentially transform the way that the video game industry works. But then there were people like me who were like, no, this whole thing sounds stupid because of many different factors here. Initially, it was supposed to have first-party games, and then Google was like, "Oh wait, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to shut down that division." And really, when it was announced that it was Google doing this, that should have been red flags for everyone, because how many different things has Google tried and then gotten bored with? And then just completely moved on from it and just completely abandoned it. And I had a feeling that Google Stadia was going to be just like that. And like I said, once the announcement that they weren't doing any first-party games or exclusive games for the service came about, it was definitely the writing on the wall with this. Well, Business Insider actually put out a report yesterday talking about Google Stadia, and I mean, it's pretty much done for. The technology itself is not done for, but Google Stadia as an entity in order to play video games is pretty much a done deal. So in this little write-up here done by PC Gamer, basically they start out by saying that Google Stadia was once apparently the future. I never thought it was. Google said it was alive and well, but then things got kind of murky. A recent partnership with AT&T allowed customers of that service to play Batman Arkham Knight. Now, a new report from Business Insider further details Google's process into turning Stadia into a white-label streaming platform, one licensed by businesses and used under their own branding. So, like I said, the technology isn't going away, but the Google Stadia ecosystem is. And like, that's probably what Google should have done with the first place, because let's be real, when it comes to cloud gaming, from what I've seen, Google Stadia is actually like top of the line stuff here. I think it's better than what, Xbox is doing. It's way better than what Nintendo is doing with the cloud gameplay. So I feel like Nintendo should be looking at this to license this as something to have games come to the Nintendo Switch via the cloud service, because if these games are going to come natively anyways, it's nice to at least have the option to check it out on the Switch, and using Google Stadia servers would be a hell of a lot better, because that's one thing you never hear bad about Google Stadia is the fact that, oh, it doesn't work right, it doesn't work good, because everyone seems to think it works really good, but holy shit, man, what a strange service this was. Like, they promised so many things. Remember, like, the integration? You were going to be able to integrate it right into your YouTube live stream, and then people could jump into your game through the integration or buy the game. And then none of this happened. None of this happened. They literally just put out some games for it, and we're like, here, you can play these games on select devices. Well, will more devices be supported? I don't know, maybe. And then Google just completely just abandoned it. And, like, you go back to my videos. Go back to my videos on Google Stadia, and you'll see that that's what I was saying the whole time. I definitely had a feeling that Google would get bored with it and then just completely abandon it. And it's funny because there was like Stadia forums, like, which is bizarre to me, because what are you talking about on this forum? But like Stadia forums and stuff were like being mean about me, like, I can't believe you'd say that Google Stadia is gonna be awesome. Well, where are you now? Are you laughing now? No, bitch boy, I am. But yeah, Google Stadia, rest in peace. Hopefully companies pick up this technology and do something fun with it. And finally, obviously Nintendo just had their financial report very recently. We talked about it a couple days ago on the channel. Lots of fun stuff to discuss in that, such as software sales, hardware sales, the future of Nintendo, NFTs, all that sort of stuff. Make sure you guys check out that video if you haven't checked out that video. But during that announcement and presentation, there was actually one thing that I didn't talk about, because usually, there's nothing to talk about with this, because all the other YouTube videos that are talking about this aren't really looking at it the way I'm looking at it. And if you look at it the way I look at it, it's actually something very interesting, and that is the upcoming forecast for Nintendo Switch games. Now, obviously, there's more than likely going to be a Nintendo Direct this month, so we're going to learn about more first-party games coming to the Nintendo Switch, but there are some titles that we definitely know about, such as Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Advance Wars, Splatoon 3. All of these games are scheduled to come out in 2022. Well, Nintendo always has this little infograph talking about their upcoming games, and this is the infograph right here. So looking at this infograph, we could see, I mean, obviously, we're just going to focus on the United United States because that's where I live. Pokemon Legends Arceus, which just came out, fantastic freaking game. Triangle Strategy, that's a weird name. On March 4th, Kirby and the Forgotten Land on March 25th, Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, Spring 2022, Splatoon, Breath of the Wild 2, Bayonetta 3, Metroid Prime 4. Now upon first inspection, you're probably like, oh, okay, like, what are we talking about here? There's no new information on The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 here. Obviously, Nintendo hasn't said this game has slipped into 2023. There has been rumors that maybe it won't come out this year. According to this infograph, it will be coming out in 2022. But what's the big deal? How is this playing into a release window or anything of that nature? But let's look at this graph again, because there's something that's really sticking out to me with this graph, and I think it's very telling. So once again, looking at these games here that have release dates, and even we'll throw in Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp on here. All right, so these all have release dates. So this is how they are being done in chronological order. Now, looking at the games that don't have a release date, such as Splatoon 3, Breath of the Wild 2, Metroid Prime 3, or Bayonetta 3, and Metroid Prime 4, how are these categorized? Because they're not categorized by launch date, they're not categorized by title. So are they actually being done by launch date? Because I think that makes perfect freaking sense. This isn't alphabetical. If it was just random, it would be alphabetical. To me, this is saying that we're going to get Splatoon 3 probably in the summer, like when we got Splatoon 2. You know, Breath of the Wild 2 is going to come out before Bayonetta 3, which is going to come out before Metroid Prime 4. Bayonetta 3 is probably going to be like a November title. Doesn't that make perfect sense? Like, doesn't that line up with how you would think these games are going to be released? Splatoon 3 comes out in the summer. Breath of the Wild 2 comes out before Bayonetta 3. They both come out probably in the fall or winter season to sort of hype up for, you know, 2022 system sales for the Nintendo Switch. And then Metroid Prime 4 is on its own little island because it doesn't have a release window. You cannot sit here and tell me that that doesn't make perfect sense. You can't, because there's no rhyme or reason for these games to have these dates the way that they have these dates. Looking at the other regions, you can see here, it's the same thing for Europe. Japan is a little different though. They actually put in Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Now, that game I have heard is actually going to be delayed, so I don't know, you might want to hold your breath on that. But you can see the other games are in the exact same manner. These games are in the exact same manner. So obviously Nintendo does their launches worldwide now. I can't imagine that this is just a coincidence. I can't imagine it, because when you think about it, Splatoon 3 is the game out of all those 4 games, those mystery games, your Bayonetta 3s, your Breath of the Wild 2s, and your Metroid Prime 4. That's the game that we've definitely seen the most from. That's the game that most of us anticipate will come out before any of those other games, because that's probably going to be a summer release, because Nintendo has already been talking about it. So, what does that mean for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2? I would say that as of today, which is February 5th, because I'm filming this February 4th at night. I almost messed it all up. But as of February 5th, I would say that this is a fall 2022 game for the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, I'm not 100% sure, so don't go quoting me on this. Say, oh, RGT confirmed it. I'm not confirming this, but I am 99.9% sure that at this moment in time is what Nintendo is envisioning, because that's the only way that this list makes sense. The list is being done in chronological order for the release dates for all these other games. You can see it right here. Arceus, Triangle Strategy, Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, Advance Wars 1 and 2. So why would these 4 games not be a part of that, you know, chronological ordering? Why would those 4 games be the outsider of this, the outlier of this? It doesn't make sense to me. So I'm putting it in my calendar. Fall 2022, Breath of the Wild 2 comes out on the Nintendo Switch, whatever the hell they're going to call it. I don't think they're going to call it Breath of the Wild 2. I don't know, maybe they would though, because Breath of the Wild was so successful. This, you know, it's kind of tinfoil hat, but you can't sit there and say that I'm not making a damn good case. Alrighty, so that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to give me your feedback in the comments section down below. Are you sad that Stadia is dying? Because I really don't give a shit. And Breath of the Wild 2. Fall 2022 release based on the information that we have received. Are you buying into it, or is it just a random order of these games? Which, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like and share the video. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.